Hey guys, welcome to Zero Music Theory. Steve Hershey here. I'm going to show you some basics of songwriting today. Let's get right exactly to it. Okay, so here we have a keyboard displayed for you. I like to demonstrate this stuff on keyboards. I'm going to show you, without music theory, how we can create a song that sounds maybe like this. Okay, and no music theory. The trick was this. With my right hand, I like to be playing 3 notes at a time. And I generally have them spread out kind of like this. Every other white key. And for what we're doing today, no black keys. They're there, but we shan't be playing them. If you've watched the video on the 7 emotions that you can get without black keys, that's a good video to watch before you watch this video, but you don't have to. The thing that makes this sound the way it does is this particular note right here. Well, how do I find this particular note? Well, if I look at my keyboard, I can see that it's set up with a group of 2 black keys and a group of 3 black keys. And that's kind of our map. It kind of repeats. Group of 2, group of 3, group of 2, group of 3. And I'm going to be looking at this group of 3 black keys down here. And wherever I find a group of 3 black keys here, very simply, look for the center one of the group of 3 and look just to the right of it. Now, that's a very particular note that we use for songwriting. And these exist up and down the keyboard. So I just found this one in this group of 3, center note, just to the right of center. I could do it here as well. Group of 3, center note, just to the right of center. And I find that these notes occur in several places on the keyboard. Nice bass notes down here, but they're also up and even up higher. It's really all the same note. So in combination, they blend very well. But we're going to be looking at this one here, kind of around the middle, a little bit south of the middle of the keyboard. They consider that note the middle of the keyboard, so we're a little south of there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to form it into something where I can use 3 notes at a time. And to do this, I just kind of look at every other white key where I play one, and I'm not going to play this one, but I will play this one, and I'm not going to play this one, and I will play this one. And I might decide to hit them all at once. Has a kind of a cool sound to it. I don't have to hit them all at once. I can kind of go through them but for today we'll hit them all at one time. Okay. Now, this is going to be the central, foundational sound that we're going to use for our song. Now, where do we go from here? Well, really, you can use this shape and move it just about anywhere. From here, my recommendation is move it down. Down is to the left. When we say down, we mean towards the low notes. The low notes are down here, high notes are up here. So we don't use words like left and right, we'll say down. So if I take the same shape and move it downwards to here, well, everything is shifted over one white key, but I have the same shape. I can do that again. Shift it down. And that's actually not a bad idea for a starting point of a song, where I could start, again, looking for my target group of 3 black keys, center one just to the right, every other key based on there. Get a couple hits on this, move down, give a couple hits, move down, give a couple hits. Now, can you keep doing this? Yeah, absolutely. They'll have different types of tones as they go, and they don't have to go even in order, but we're going to start here. Well, what if I, instead of just going to to the next obvious one down and the next obvious one down. What if I skip down 2? So instead of landing on this one here, I'll move everything down, skipping over one white key. That'll give me this. And I'm going to go down 2. And that's kind of nice. Okay, now I have to kind of remember where my starting point was to use this trick. I did start here, and I'm kind of considering this note to be the foundation of the notes that are above it. Well, I know that the next chord I went to, I kind of skipped down 2 white keys to get me my second chord. But let's add a third chord in there. And instead of going down, let's go up. And how far will we go up? Well, why don't we use the same exact distance? I know that this chord, this group of 3 notes is called a chord. Sorry, a little music theory crept in. I'm trying to do zero music theory. I will explain a little theory at the end. If I went up 2 from here and used this as the foundation of a new group of notes, well, I can kind of remember where that is. If I need a quick way to spot this, I can say, well, it starts, here's a group of 2 black keys, and I start just to the left of that. Well, let me remember that as a good position to go to when I get to needing that chord. So my starting point's here. I go down 2. And then I'm going to go up 2 from where I started. Well, I got something here. And that might be all that I need really to get this song kind of going. But let's do one more while we're at it. Okay, let's remember our starting point was here. And remember, right out of the gate, I said you can just go down 1. And that's a cool chord. I mean, you can make a song just doing that. But let's remember where that is. It's just south of our starting chord. Well, if we put it all together, here I am starting in our normal position. I'm going to go down 2. Then I'm going to go up 2 from where we started. And then I'm going to pick the one just south of our first chord. Well, if I start this over again, I don't have far to go because I'm only 1 south of it. I could just start it again. Let's listen to what this all sounds like. Not bad. Well, what we just did here in music theory, if you want to consider this a bit of music theory, is I played chords. Chords are groups of 3 or more notes. We're using 3, just kind of the bare minimum, and they sound okay. How did I know to start here? Well, if you watch the video on the 7 emotions that you can get using only white keys, we talked about 7 notes in a row that started down here. It's labeled C, just to the left of the group of 2 black keys. And in that video, I said, well, let's call this one the first note, the second note, third note, fourth note, fifth note. And this was the 6th note. And the 6th note, the emotion tied to it, was the emotion of sad. Well, maybe we don't want to write a sad song, or maybe we just are having our ideas on writing a good first song. But don't think of it as being overly sad. I mean, you're not going to weep instantly when you hear it. But this is the 6th note of that group of 7, and it's a great starting point. And I form a chord off of this. Now, if I play a chord and we do the thing where I move it down 2, and then up 2 from where it began, and then south 1 from where I started, now I have 4 chords in a row. And in music theory, we would say that it goes from one chord and it progresses to the next chord, and it progresses to the next chord. It makes progress, in other words. And so the word that they use is progression. It's a progression of chords, and you may have heard chord progression. Well, I can play this chord progression in that particular order, and I would come up with something that sounds like a lot of great hit songs have been written just like this. And don't worry about it. If you come up with chords that have been used in a song and you go, oh, well, that sounds exactly like this other song. That's how music works. Almost every song that you hear that's a hit on the radio nowadays, we can trace those chords back to coming from another song before. And there's another song before that that did it, and another song that did that before that. These things happen. It's not copywritten. Chord progressions are not copywritten. So, and people who are aware of that little kind of legal thing, sometimes they'll go back intentionally and borrow, we'll say borrow, chords from a song that they know that was a hit before, and they'll come up with a new way of playing it and maybe, sing new words on it or something and have a new song. And it's totally normal and totally fine. So how did I do this? Well, this note here happens to be called A, and this chord is a type of A chord. We haven't really talked about what chords are other than they exist. This is A minor. This chord is F. When I went up 2, and you can see my bottom note here is a C. This is a C chord. And when I went just south of where I started, that's a G chord. You don't need to know the names of these notes, but if you do, and there's only 7 of them, it helps you communicate with other people in this business. If you say, hey, I got this song and it goes like this, and they go, oh, what chords are that? It's nice to be able to say, oh, I'm starting on an A minor, and then I go to F, and then a C, and then a G, and they'll go, oh, okay, it's just part of the language. You don't have to do it to write the music. You can learn all this stuff with zero music theory, but it doesn't hurt to have a little music theory just so you can communicate. Well, these are groups of notes that we call chords. I hope you had fun today, and thanks for coming onto the channel. We'll see you soon.